Good evening and welcome to our Lions University course this evening for Club Presidents. I'd like to remind you that we will be recording this webinar for those Lions who cannot participate with us live this evening. And also as a reminder for some of you who maybe haven't participated in a webinar in a while, there will be two different ways that we'll have an opportunity to interact this evening. The first is by raising your hand that's shown on your control panel. If you do that, then we will call on you to unmute your phone so that you can be able to either share a response to a question, ask a question, or share your ideas. The other way is to participate by putting your question or response in the question pane of your control panel. So those are the two ways that we will interact this evening. You might be seeing at the bottom of the screen the name Mark Miller. My name is Lion Wendy King, and I am coordinating the bachelor's program for Lions University. Lions University is a project in affiliation with USA-Canada Lions Leadership Forum in a way that we're excited to be able to bring leadership and development training to our Lions year-round and not just at the single forum event each September. So thank you for participating with us here this evening, and those of you that have participated in other courses or may decide to, thank you for your interest in Lions University. The bachelor's program is really built around helping us succeed in our Lions clubs. And in order to complete the bachelor's program, there are 10 required courses, which you can see on the left side of the screen. And then we ask participants to complete at least 5 electives. So today's course number 121 for Club President is one of those electives that will fulfill that requirement. The lionsuniversity.org website is where we have a lot of resources available to you for each course that we're offering. And in particular, today's course has a lot of resources that may be useful to you in the future. So we've got links to as many of those as possible so that you can come back and use the website and in particular this course page as a good resource. Again, lionsuniversity.org is where you can go for information not just about this course, but all of our courses and the program as a whole. It is my pleasure now to introduce you to our faculty member who will be sharing her knowledge, experience, background, and research on Club Presidents. And that is past District Governor Nancy Watt-Durnan from District A, Multiple District A in Canada, from Ontario. And so with that, and I know Lion Nancy has a lot of material to cover, so I'm going to welcome her and let her get started.
Thanks very much, Wendy, and welcome everyone. I'm pleased to be here with you this evening. We have a lot to cover, so let's get busy. We have objectives for our session, and at its conclusion, you should have a better understanding of the duties of your position and how to plan for your year as club president. The leadership expectations of your Lions will have of you and how you're going to be able to fulfill them, where to locate the various resources you'll need, and above all, how to enjoy this very special year. So here you are, the president, the chief executive officer of your club, so congratulations. And here's what you're going to have to do by way of duties. Call and preside at all of the club, board, and special meetings during the year. Working with your vice presidents, select and appoint committee chairpersons and members. Ensure that annual elections are held and the results are reported to Lions Clubs International. And as a member of the Governor's Zone Advisory Committee, attend and report at all zone advisory meetings. Represent your club at cabinet, regional, and other meetings. In addition to understanding your role and duties, you also need to understand the role and duties of the Board of Directors, especially the Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer, if you're going to be able to work with them effectively. Now keep in mind that as CEO, the buck stops here. Although you are the CEO, your authority is not absolute. So we're going to give you an opportunity here to raise your hand and tell us where you think the President's authority comes from. Now, if you want to speak, remember you must have a mic. Otherwise, you could type into the question pane, and I'll ask Wendy if she could monitor some responses for us. Just give us some of your thoughts. I know we threw that one at you early, but you thought you were going to sit and listen tonight, but we want you to work and be involved.
So could you repeat the question, and then we did have a couple of responses coming in.
Okay, it was where does the authority come from? Where does the presidential authority come from?
So Ryan Dawn shared from the bylaws, and Susan just typed that in. Ryan Chris mentioned the board.
The board, yes.
The Clarence mentioned from the club membership.
A
few items or a few responses.
That's good. Excellent. And I think if we click on there, you'll see that that's exactly where it all comes from. So very good. You're a very high-functioning group. It's a pleasure to work with you tonight. Now, the President works with the Board of Directors to ensure the club runs smoothly. So who do you think they are? Well, we have the President, and that's you. We have the immediate past President. We have Vice Presidents, and that can be 1, 2, or 3 of them, depending on the size of your club. The Secretary and the Treasurer, and then the Directors. Now, the Directors are elected for a 2-year term, and the number depends on the size and practice of your club. So you may have 2 or 3 directors, or you may just have 1 in each category. The 2-year director is brand new and in the first year on the board, while 1-year directors are in their 2nd year on the board. And I used to get confused with this too, so if you're feeling a bit confused right now, don't feel badly. It takes us a while to get it sorted out. And often these directors are mistakenly referred to as 2nd year and 1st year directors. However, their correct titles are 2-year directors and 1-year directors. The membership chairperson also sits on the board. And then we have the tail twister and the lion tamer, which are optional positions. And LCI did that a few years ago. And I know a lot of the smaller clubs particularly have eliminated them from the boards because it's a lot easier to get a quorum if you don't have those 2 extra people there. And then there's one more. If you have a club branch, the coordinator is also a member of your board of directors. So what is the role of this board of directors? Well, they're the management committee, and they oversee the operations of the club and ensure that they're in line with both the club and the international constitutions and bylaws. Their duties are fairly straightforward. All new business of any nature is handled first by the board and then referred to the appropriate club committee for study and recommendations. They consider and shape all new club policy prior to presentation to and approval of the club members. They approve expenditures in accordance with the club budget and ensure the club doesn't go into debt. And they also ensure there's an annual audit and that the report is made available to the membership if requested. They approve the financial institution used by the club, and they should also consider bonding for any club officer or any other lion who is responsible for handling money. They make sure the club has 2 separate funds, one for the administrative or lion's money, which of course is money from dues, internal raffles and draws, tail twisting, and that sort of thing. And then the other is activity money, and that is raised from the public through your fundraisers and projects, donations. And the board ensures that these funds are never intermingled. And I'm sure you're all aware that the activity money is never used for the benefit of your club or any of your Lions members or their families. The board has the power to modify, overrule, or rescind the unauthorized or inappropriate actions of any club officer, and that of course includes the president. So that's what we say, that you get your authority from the board as well. And something else I think is really important is that when the board is presenting decisions to the club, that they should show a united front. Unless between the time the board decision was made and the presentation, some really startling information became available that would change that decision. Otherwise, stick to the board decision, even though you may not have initially been in favor. The vice presidents have additional duties, and it makes sense that they fully understand the president's role and responsibilities, as they may have to stand in for the president at some time. They work with the committees that have been assigned to them by helping the chairs to set goals and create action plans to ensure that the goals are achieved, and along with the committee chairs, develop job descriptions so that the committees understand their mandate. They can assist chairs in planning and effectively chairing meetings, and they act as resource persons and sounding boards for the chairs and committee members. And as they are ex officio members of their assigned committees, they should attend some of the meetings, but remember, they do not have a vote. Now, depending on how your club works, vice presidents may report on behalf of their committees to the board and the club. And most importantly, they assist, but they do not take over the functions of the chairs or the committee members. So you can see that the VPs are active and essential for the effective functioning of the club committees. A successful year starts with good planning. As with every other aspect of our lives, from a family trip to doing something at work, planning is very important, and I'm sure you've heard this a few times. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So here are some useful things to consider before you take office. Find out what gets Lions enthused and what they may need to help become good, active club members. The Club Officer Team Manual, which is online at Lions Clubs International on the website, is a fantastic resource. It contains a wealth of information and help on every aspect of leading your club. So it too covers the roles, responsibilities, and duties of you as well as the other officers. So it's an excellent resource for your team. By attending and participating in district and multiple district events, you'll broaden your horizon by sharing with and learning from other Lions. And you cannot overstate the importance of participating in every opportunity for club officer training. And of course, by being here this evening, you've indicated that you really understand how important this is. Here are some of the documents you should be familiar with, particularly club constitution and bylaws. The Standard International and Constitution and Bylaws are online with Lions Clubs International on the website. You should also be familiar with your district constitution and bylaws, which I would hope you can get from your district constitution and bylaws chair or any district officer. And I know in my district and many others, the districts have these resources on their websites. And just a word about the online resources that we've been mentioning and will be citing throughout this webinar. There is a handout to go along with this course, and some of you may have downloaded it already because I think Wendy put it up this afternoon, and the links to all of these resources are in that handout, so you don't have to try and jot them down now. Good planning, start early. As a courtesy to the sitting president, ask him or her if they'd mind if you started working with the incoming officers right now, as soon as you're elected, to start getting things underway for a smooth transition for the coming year. Meet with the incoming officers and start working on your plans, and also look to the present officers for assistance. Work with vice presidents to select Lions to chair committees and sit on committees, and assign the vice presidents to oversee various committees. You want everything and everyone in place and ready to go July 1st. And I can't stress enough how important this last point is. We talk about replacing a lion. Nothing is worse than hearing secondhand you've been replaced, Believe me, I've had it happen, and it's not a happy occurrence. Approach the Lion and explain you appreciate the hard work and leadership that he or she has contributed by working in this capacity, and you'd like to give another Lion the same opportunity to develop new skills by taking on this position. Offer the other Lion position that you believe would benefit from his or her expertise, and would also offer them some leadership growth opportunities. Let the person know you really value their support, and it would be important and you'd really appreciate it if they would be on your team. Just as the VPs need to understand your role and responsibilities, you need to understand what the secretaries and treasurers' positions entail so you can work effectively with them. Meeting with them to review some of their duties and becoming aware of things they may require some assistance with will strengthen your team. Accurate record keeping is absolutely essential, and you can see there are many different types of records: financial, members, minutes, committees. It's important that they be kept up to date and filed appropriately. Regular reporting to the board, the club members, and other interested parties such as your district, Lions Clubs International, means good communication and well-informed Lions. Now, signing authority is usually given to 2 of 3 designated officers. As we said before, the board should seriously consider bonding any officer or any other Lion who's going to be handling money. If you have a lot of money on hand from a big project you've been working on, it's good insurance to consider bonding, believe me. The treasurer should ensure that a bank account or accounts are set up as required in accordance with the board policy, and that administration, that's the Lions money, and activity, which is the public monies, are always accounted for separately. And I'm sure that you all know that Lions money is never, activity money is never ever used for the benefit of Lions. With regard to another duty the treasurer might have, they may be the chair of the finance committee. Depends on how your club organizes things. But if the treasurer is not the chair, he or she should definitely be a member of the committee. The drawing up of the budget, of course, is a finance committee responsibility, and they should be working with the treasurer when they do that. And here again we have some resources. The Lions Learning Center with regard to delegation and coaching, so that you got some help there for working with your officers and committees. Now, specifically regarding finances, please refer your treasurer to our Lions University course 123 on club finances. How to plan and run effective meetings is a whole topic unto itself, so we're going to briefly cover some of the things you will need to know and do. As the president, you issue the call for all the regular club, board of directors, and special meetings. Work with the secretary to prepare the agenda, preside over the meetings, and here's a little one. You should review the minutes prior to distribution to make sure that they're correct. I have been a secretary. I know secretaries are perfect, but actually we're not. We're imperfect. And sometimes we don't get things just right. So it's better to have the minutes vetted before they go out so that they're correct first time around. Now, put your thinking caps on. Here's a question for you. Why should we have an agenda? If you want to type your answers in, I'll ask Wendy to monitor those for us and give us some of your ideas.
Ella shared to save time. Mola responded to be more prepared. Gwen said to guide and stay on time. We have 2 Mariners. I'm going to read theirs together. So the meeting runs smoothly and all things are included. The meeting, gosh, the responses are rolling in. To help be prepared, says Chris. To keep the meeting organized, says Susan. If there's no agenda, you would get off track. Thank you, Eunice.
Good. Terrific. And if you just want to flash up on the screen there, Wendy, we had about four or five main ones, and I think everybody covered them. Meetings begin and end on time, productive, orderly, members are informed, issues not overlooked. Good. Thank you. Very good. Now, when you're preparing the agenda, you said work with the secretary and get input from your committee chairs and vice presidents. Review past minutes to make sure that you don't overlook anything on this agenda. The secretary will be responsible for sending it out to the membership a few days prior to the meeting, and also have a few copies, paper copies at the meeting, just in case somebody's forgotten theirs. And remember that a good agenda that is followed is your blueprint for effective and productive meetings. For more detailed information, be sure to use Lions Club's international resources to assist you in learning how to hold effective meetings. And of course, the Lions University course, 104 effective meetings, which I know has been carried out and is up. And one last point, you need to understand and use parliamentary procedure. Now, parliamentary procedure is how Lions Clubs International conduct all their meetings, and they would like we in the clubs to do the same. It's a body of rules followed by an assembly and helps us understand and use the proper procedure for calls to order, the kind of motions we'll be dealing with, debating, voting, reconsidering motions, recognizing speakers. So you can see there's a lot of really good information and help in there that will help those meetings to run smoothly. And of course, the example of parliamentary procedure that most of us are familiar with is Robert's Rules of Order. And there is a website for Robert's Rules. All you do is click on there and go to the frequently asked questions, and they give you an excellent summary of the most common situations that you'll come across in meetings. I know I've got that copied, and it's in the front of my book. It goes to every meeting with me. So in summarizing about meetings, it's essential that you be fully prepared for all of your meetings, and I would strongly suggest that you never leave home without the minutes of all prior meetings, your agenda, your officer and committee lists, Constitution and bylaws, Robert's Rules, your district directory, and knowing what the issues might be or are going to be and being well prepared to handle them effectively. And your homework after the meeting is to use a checklist to ensure you didn't miss anything and start working on the next agenda right away while things are still fresh in your memory. Now the next issue is a little touchy, but unfortunately conflict may arise on occasions, and it's important for everyone to understand that the lion in the chair, the president, vice president, committee chair, is a standing authority in every situation. So to assist you in learning some techniques to handle these conflicts, International has a course in the Lions Learning Center in conflict resolution. Our Lions University course, 109, on conflict resolution. And you should also be familiar with the LCI dispute resolution guidelines for conflicts requiring mediation. I hope you never get to that point, but it's there should you require it. Now let's take a look at committees. You're going to appoint the standing or permanent committees. And that would be such membership committee, finance, nominations, constitution and bylaws, and then special issue or limited committees such as club rebuilding or meals. And those committees are struck for a special issue and only for as long as it takes to resolve the issue. And you may have heard them also referred to as ad hoc committees. And as noted before, assign the vice presidents to oversee, assist, and mentor their various committees, but keep in mind at all times their job is to coach and oversee, but not to take over. To ensure your club has good functioning committees, when you're selecting committee chairs and members, try to match up their interests and skills with the job. And don't be afraid to bring in some new blood to revitalize the committees. If there are no job descriptions, as we've said before, it's difficult for the committee to understand their mandate. So the vice presidents working with the committees can put something together so that they have something concrete to refer to and then to pass along to future committees as a guide. Refer to old records for helpful information on prior activities as well. The responsible vice president can report to the board and the membership. It depends on how your club functions. It should be done regularly as the fundraisers or projects are being planned and underway, and after they are completed, there should be a good summary report handed in. Communication is key to making sure Lions know what's going on and what is expected of them. So keep in touch with the committees through the vice presidents. This will keep you in the know and aware of how they're functioning, and it also keeps the committees focused on their tasks. And if there are problems or concern, follow-up is essential because it lets the Lions know that you're aware of the issues and you're serious about it. And like the VPs, you too are an ex officio member of all committees, so let the Lions know that you're interested in what they're doing by attending some of their meetings. And here are some more resources to help you and the vice presidents get the best Lions for the job, and also some online resources for you as well. By reviewing the committee list, you know who has served before, so that you try not to do repeats. By looking at the applications that members filled out, you can match their interests and skills with some of the positions you'd like to have them serving in. The online learning resources center courses are there as well. Effective teams, valuing member diversity, and at Lions University, member motivation. And that's a very important one. I believe that's coming up pretty soon, isn't it? Now, as president, you play a key role in ensuring that the elections are held every year and they comply with the Constitution and bylaws. You can oversee the process, or you can delegate that to a responsible Lion in the club. It's your decision how you do that, but if you give it to a responsible Lion, then you're helping that person to develop some more of their leadership abilities. Make sure the Lions are aware of the procedures and feel that they are part of the process, not just bystanders. And keep deadlines in mind. For example, the elections should be held no later than the 15th of May because that's when the results are supposed to be reported to Lions Club International via my LCI. Excuse me. To ensure that you know and understand the election process, review your club constitution and bylaws and the International Standard Club Constitution and Bylaws, which is on the website, of course. And in particular, I'd refer you to Article 3, Sections 1 through 8. Now, you may think that reading the Constitution and Bylaws is dry. It's not. International has the wording in there quite clearly, so it's a good resource for you, so don't be afraid to use it. Now again, with regard to the elections, we said it before, you should appoint the nominating committee. Their responsibility is to come up with a slate of candidates for the vacant positions. And because this is a democratic process, you can have nominations from the floor of the nomination meeting. And of course, you want to have the proposed candidate's permission prior to putting their name out, because you don't want to just spring that on them. You want it to, you want to make sure they really want to do the job and not put them into an awkward situation. Hold the election and announce the results. Now, although the secretary is the one responsible for reporting to Lions Club International, ultimately it is your responsibility to make sure this is done. So just a little memory jogger to the secretary to report on the Lions Club Officer Reporting Form, the PU 101, on my LCI, and it should be done by the 15th of May. Now, International sends a lot of information directly to president, secretary, membership chair. So it's important that they have the names of the officers in the database. Because once the 30th of June has passed and the Lions year has ended, the information that's currently on My LCI does not transfer to the new Lions year. So you can see how important it is to get this information into International so that everything's updated. A club lacking in effective communication is more likely to have dissatisfied members who do not feel connected to the club. Now I'd like to get some discussion going here, and I'd like to hear some ideas from you about how we can keep our club members informed. Now it's up to you whether you want to type into the answer pane or raise your hand, whichever works best for you. And Wendy, I'm going to ask you again if you will monitor this for us.
We have quite a few items coming in from the questions pane. Newsletter, email, Facebook, social media, web pages, telephone, putting files and information available in the group that it's always available to refer back to, personal calls, calendar. I think I'm getting a couple of repeats. I'm not doing names this time, but thank you for a lot of let's see, club website I mentioned, making sure the minute agendas are available. So good ideas for communication. And before we go on, Nancy, can I clarify one thing?
Oh, please do, yes.
You've highlighted the May 15th deadline for officer information, and just for club secretary and president benefit, you may want to be on the lookout. Some districts need that information a little bit earlier, so you may actually have a requested deadline that's earlier than that to meet with district directory publications and things. But the May 15th is the LCI.
Definitely LCIs, and yes, you're right about the district directories and that. I know that that's where ours come from, and we rely actually on the LCI database, and we download from that. But whichever way it works, make sure that the people who need that information have it in a timely fashion. Thanks, Wendy. That was good.
Yep. Let's see. We did get Lions On shared a new idea with an annual club directory that's given to each member, including schedule of events, committee chairs, member contact information, and quite a variety of information. So that's another way to communicate within your club. I think I mentioned phone calls previously. So again, lots of good input from folks.
That's great. So if you would just like to pop up on the screen there what some of the things I had, which everybody has, I think everything there has been taken in pretty much. Club bulletin, whether it's a printed one or email, district activities and newsletters, make sure that they get passed on to your Lions. And committees report to the board of directors, publish the club and the board of directors minutes. That's good. And there were a lot of other good things in there too, which I think probably we'll pick up on those on the next little bit as well, because they can be used in the club or in the public. One word about email. I know a lot of us use email, and I think in my own club actually we only have one Lion out of 26 who's not on email, which considering the age of some of us, I think is pretty phenomenal. But we all know that not all of our Lions are online or on email. So be sure that they are in the communications loop as well. And what we do with our non-email Lion, he's buddied up with one of the Lions who do have email, And our email line makes sure that our non-email line gets a copy of everything, or at least he gets in touch and says, look, I've got this, this, and this. What can I copy off for you? And that way, that line or those lines will be kept up to date and informed, just like everybody else. Now, depending on how many non-email lines you have, if you're going to be doing a lot of copying, maybe the club can set up a small budget to cover the cost of paper so that somebody is not completely out of pocket for that. Now, the other thing I wanted you to consider is communication outside your club. I know we did get a lot of good ideas from you before, but if anybody's got some ideas for outside the club, as well as some of the things that we covered before, type them in. Or
they're starting to come in. Myrna shared Facebook and club website. The newspaper. Susan got a column in the local newspaper. It has to be great if we can get a recurring spot. Janice shared a radio talk show for local cable. Hillary shared putting our publicity chair to work. Tony mentioned, in addition to Facebook page, press releases. Sandra shared that they work with the local Chamber of Commerce and local media. Nola has it right with the We Serve. By joining community activities, we're communicating outside of our club, so they're seeing us in action. Let's see, a community bulletin board or access channel. A bulletin that's sent throughout the district from Janice, and that we're communicating to other clubs about our activities. And if you're taking our club banner with our name to our service activities.
That's an excellent one.
Yeah. Great ideas coming in for how to communicate outside of our club.
That's wonderful. Boy, you've got a lot more down than I have. So good. You're all putting your minds to it. So we can just sort of throw a few things up on the screen there, Wendy. The one thing I think you need to think about with regard to communication outside your club is to establish a protocol as to who is going to be responsible for responding to inquiries, communications, etc. So it could be the secretary, committee chair, the vice president, president. The important thing is that somebody takes responsibility for this. And you need to be aware of all of the issues. Whatever comes in, you need to be in the loop as well. Because if someone has communicated with the club and hasn't got an answer back, you're usually the one that's listed as the contact person, I have found in my experience. So you get the call, so you really need to know what it's all about. The other thing you should think about too, although you have given these people the responsibility to take care of things, but after a reasonable time, just a little follow-up with the responder to make sure that some action has been taken. Now, we talked about a good public relations chair. That was one of the suggestions, and you're absolutely right. And there's a good resource for that public relations and PR person. Again, the Lions University course coming up soon, I think, on public relations. So if you have somebody in your club responsible for that, make sure that they sign up for this course, because I think you're going to find it very beneficial. Talked about writing articles for the paper, getting pictures out, various strategies for tapping into the media. One of them, if you're having difficulty getting the media to pay attention to you, maybe invite some of them to your club functions so they get to know you and understand what you do and what you're all about. And then the social media. It's amazing how this has blossomed in the last little while. I did a webinar maybe a year or so ago, and somebody said something about Twitter. Did I tweet? And I thought I was being insulted because I didn't have the foggiest idea what Twitter is, but I sure do now. I even know about Instagrams and a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm sure you do too. leverage the social media. We've got younger people in our clubs. These are the communication tools that they use, so this is what we should use. So thank you, everybody. Your ideas are absolutely excellent, and please keep using them. Make them work for you.
Lion Nancy?
Yes.
I have one other item that I wanted to share from the question thing. Lion Dawn indicated that the Lions Club's international blog and the Lion magazine editors are very receptive to club news, and I can vouch for her because I have seen her club highlighted and represented in their projects several times over the last couple of years. So if you are doing something that is unique or even just something that you want to share with other Lions, that is a great opportunity to do so. I also have a comment, or Winston would like to share a comment about websites, and I'm going to unmute him here for a moment because we have time for that, if that's all right.
Good evening, everyone. Winston Ceballos, Council Chair in New Jersey. I also work with eClubhouse and Lion Smile. It's something important that we also have to remember when we're doing websites and all that. Somebody needs to be responsible for updating the website, and as a president, you should be checking out if they're doing it, because it's very unpleasant. If you have a website or a Facebook page, somebody goes to the page or the website, and you have information there for 3 years old. So we need also to have that into consideration when we are putting somebody as a PR chair, that they need to make sure that information get updated constantly.
Absolutely. There is nothing more frustrating, is there, than going on a web page, and as you say, information is 3 years out of date. So thank you very much for that. I did have that as a last little tag on here, but thank you. I appreciate that. I think we can move on now. We still got a bit of time left. We still have some work to do. So obviously you are the leader in your club, and naturally your Lions are going to look to you for guidance and help in problem solving, as well as creating an atmosphere in which they will be motivated to participate in all aspects of club life. And I know it says here, motivation. I'm always hearing motivate your members, but you know and I know that all we can do is create a good atmosphere in which our Lions will feel motivated to get involved. So that's a big part of your leadership responsibility. Encourage your Lions to work towards building a shared vision for your club. This will ensure that your club goals are met, as well as your Lions' personal goals. And one way to build that vision for the club is through the Club Excellence Process, or CEP. You can check it out on the LCI website. All you have to do is type in CEP in the search pane in the Member Center, and there it is. It's really worth thinking about if you haven't already participated in it. Believe me, our club has done the Pro and the Light, and it's been extremely beneficial to us. Provide leadership opportunities by giving the Lions responsible jobs and letting them get on with doing them. Coach and encourage, but don't interfere, and worse still, don't take over if you think things aren't going your way. You need to let your Lions take some risks, because that's all part of leadership development. So have faith in them and let them try things. There are lots of learning opportunities, and in fact they're endless. Of course, we have webinars by Lions Clubs International and now Lions University. And I know a lot of multiple and sub-districts are doing them as well. I know my district started doing them last year with good response. There are institutes such as the Emerging Lions, the Advanced Lions Leadership Institutes. There's the Faculty Development Institute, the USA-Canada Lions Leadership Forum, and there are going to be many others, and there are many others, no doubt. Now, it's very important that you encourage your Lions to attend these. Lead by example. You attend them and invite the Lions to come along and join you in the experience. Use the Lions mentoring program as part of the leadership development. Again, it's on the Lions Club International Learning Center site. Lions University elective course 126, mentoring and orienting new Lions members. So be sure and check that out. I think it's important to remember that there's a place for absolutely every Lion in your club. You just have to work with that Lion and help him or her find their place. Again, lead by example. You know, walk the walk, talk the talk if you're going to be an effective leader. Resources are not just confined to the online and written materials. People are resources as well. Don't overlook the Lions who can assist you, and this would be past presidents, past officers, experienced Lions in your club, district governor, vice governors, global leadership and membership team members, zone and region chairs. I mean, there are just so many people out there that have a wealth of knowledge and experience that you can tap into. And we mentioned mentoring just a minute ago. If you don't have a mentor, you should have a mentor or mentors. And this pool of Lions that we just talked about are the people who can be absolutely invaluable to you. Another online learning center resource is Developing Leaders. Well, here we are at the end of the year, and my goodness, you've just taken office. That was a quick year. I think we did it in about 50 minutes. Start to plan the end of your year as soon as you take office. I know that sounds crazy, but if you do, you'll make sure during the year your records are up to date at all times, that your project plans and reports are completed and in the committee files. Reporting is up to date. You meet with your board. You and the board should review the records to ensure that they're complete and ready to be turned over when you meet with the incoming officers to assist them with the transition. Any ongoing projects need to be reviewed to ensure that nothing falls between the cracks when you go out of office and the new president takes over. Encourage the president and vice presidents-elect to start working on plans and committees as soon as they're elected, just as you did right after you were elected. Recognition should be given throughout the year. We know that, and I hope everybody practices that. But it's always wonderful to have a big celebration at the end of the year and present special awards. Plan a special meeting, a party, a picnic, an excursion, whatever it is your club does to mark the end of the Lions year. Invite a district officer to come and help make presentations, and invite the media, or send them a write-up and lots of pictures. Be sure to include the family members and also invite the community volunteers who've helped you throughout the year. Now this is the time to thank and recognize Lions, families, and other volunteers for their dedication, support, and hard work. And here are some of the ways it can be done. We have the Melvin Jones Fellowship and the Progressive Melvin Jones Fellowships from our Lions Foundation. Also from the Foundation, we have contributing member pins. Then I'm sure there are plenty of district awards that you may be able to recommend your Lions for. And then, of course, your own very special club awards. And here's just a word of caution about rewards. They should be given in recognition of achievement and contribution to the success of the club and the community and beyond, not just your favorite Lions. I've seen it happen. It's not a very good thing. A good solution to this problem is to strike an awards committee. We have it in our club, and believe me, it's really good. It saves the president a lot of nerve-wracking moments, and it certainly makes the job an awful lot easier, and it reduces bias. It makes sure that you've got input from a number of people, and that the awards are indeed deserved. Now, when we started out, we stated we had objectives for this evening, that by the end of the session you'd be aware of and understand your presidential duties and how to plan for a successful year, the leadership expectations of your Lions and how you're going to fulfill them, and what resources are available and how to access them. We believe that with good preparation and thoughtful carrying out of your duties as president, that you can say at its completion that you truly enjoyed the experience. Thank you all for participating, and best wishes for a successful presidential year, whether it be this year or at some point in the future. I really enjoyed working with you this evening, and now I'm going to turn this over to Wendy, who's going to do our wrap-up.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for your preparation and sharing your time and your experience with us. We do have a couple of extra minutes, and so I'm going to open it up. If anyone has a question or comment, we have time to take a couple of those. And I'm also going to put a lesson learned from prior. I'm going to put the quiz for today's course in the chat box so that you can hopefully link it directly to take the course afterwards. But if you have any questions or observations about club presidents that you'd like to put in the questions pane, we have a moment to take a look at those. I don't have any. Kendra has a question about a chair position, and let me check and see if I can unmute her.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. I am the club president, and I was asked to do a region meeting for the district governor. And someone else took it upon themselves in another club, because I already, set up a region chair committee for that. And this person from another club went ahead and set up part of the program. They had got a speaker for our region meeting, but they are not in our club. Wouldn't that person who was, because they used to be a region chair, wouldn't that person contact either me or the committee chair to see if that's something that we could go forward with?
It certainly would have been the appropriate and polite thing to do.
Okay.
Sometimes people in their enthusiasm forget what they, what good manners are all about, and they just barge ahead. I would hope that the person who was responsible, who had asked you to do this, would have a word with that lion and just caution him or her that, it was kind of stepping on somebody else's toes. And although it's probably a very good speaker they have, that maybe next time around they ought to give it a little bit more thought and look into it a little more closely before they start taking over and doing things. Does that give you any help?
I'm sorry, I had to mute her. I was getting a little bit of feedback. So I hope that pointed us in the right direction. If not, Kendra, if we want to put a follow-up question, we can take that part of the conversation to our Lions discussion forum for club presidents. And there may be a couple of other questions or comments that are brought up here that we will need to be close to wrapping up. So if your response isn't, if we don't have a chance to get to it, we'll capture those comments and questions and include that on the discussion forum. We have one question. Here's a good one for you. This is, on average, how long does it take for a new lion to be ready to be a president?
Oh, my goodness. Do you want to tackle that one, Wendy?
It's very club specific, but I do hope that Lions have an opportunity to participate on committees, then be a member of the board of directors, and then move up the vice president ranks, so you have a wide range of experiences before you become club president. So I would think an ideal would be a minimum of 4 years, but I've seen a lot of Lions do very well with less Lions experience because of experience that they bring into the, from their outside career or other activities.
Exactly. It is kind of, as you say, it really depends on the person. I have seen people go into that position when obviously they weren't ready for it, and it's a very unhappy experience for the individual and the club. So if somebody is going to try and go into it in what you think is too early, if you've got somebody who can, well, if they've got a mentor, the mentor should really be working with them to ensure that they don't put the cart before the horse. But because it's a difficult position. No two ways about it. You have a lot of responsibility, as you've seen tonight in during this course. And the better prepared you are, the more knowledgeable you are, the more successful you're going to be in the position, the happier your club members are going to be. And I think that's something that these individuals have to keep in mind, not to jump at it too quickly.
All right, thank you, Nancy. We're going to go ahead and wrap up with some follow-up information. Thank you again for all of your preparation. For the participant information, I would encourage you to go to members.lionsforum.org, and that's where you can keep track of your profile for the courses that you've completed with Lions University. On the lionsforum.org, we will be putting the other comments and questions that Lions had in the discussion board for Lion Nancy and many of you to share your experiences and insights. So please do use that as a resource to carry on the conversation about club presidents. As Nancy mentioned, member motivation is our next course, and it is one of the required courses for the bachelor's program. It will be next Wednesday, and you can register for that at our website. And in order to get credit, please take the quiz. The link written below on this page will just take you to our course page. Again, lots of the resources, most of the resources Nancy mentioned are online there directly. And I put the link in the chat box, so you'll have to be able to click that directly to take the quiz. So thank you again for all of your participation and input, and thank you, Nancy, for everything that you've done for us here and for your service to the Lions. Hope everyone has a wonderful evening.